Good day, everybody. Today is July 11th, and you are here with Robin at In the Family Way Coaching. Thank you for joining me as we are going through the Bible this year, getting the big picture with a chronological storyline. And I love that, using the Day by Day Kids Bible, written by Karen Henley. This Bible, in case you're unfamiliar, it's set up like a devotional type situation. So here, for instance, it shows July 11th. You may be able to see that. So each day is broken down into its own reading. So it's not me that is making the selection as to what we are reading today and how much to read. This is done already in this fantastic version of the Bible, the Day by Day Kids Bible, and it has 365 daily entries. So this really takes a giant project and breaks it down into manageable pieces. Karen Henley has broken it down into pieces of about 7 minutes a day for actual reading. And then we have our discussion time for daily application. Because it doesn't do us much good if we just read it and say, okay, that's done. Check, 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 check. We want to be sure that we are learning and we are understanding what God's word is saying and how it is useful in our lives every single day. And today we have a daily application too. Every day, just by looking at the reading, we are able to see what God can tell us about what we should or should not be doing, or an attribute of God that we need to be mindful of. So, thank you for joining me on this amazing journey to go through the entire Bible this year so we know the whole big story. Whether you are following along on podcast or whether you are watching the video, I'm just so glad that you're joining me this year. If you are following along on your commitment calendar, it's time to get that out and your sticker or however you are marking it off because you're about to hear the Bible today. I am going to be leaving all of these recordings up. So, however, you are accessing this reading this year in 2025, I am going to have this available so that in the years future, if you wanted to revisit it or you wanted to keep sharing it, then it will still be there. It's up on Spotify, it's on Amazon Music, it's on Pandora, it's on YouTube Music, and I also have it available on my site, which is www.inthefamilywaycoaching.com. And I also have that calendar available for download no matter what year you are watching this video in the future. Right now, I'm recording this year in 2025, but if you are in 2026 or 2027 or wherever, I will have that calendar available on my site as well. And the link is down below in the description. But if you are taking notes, then it's on the section marked Read the Bible in 1 year. Below that, you will see drop down menus for the months and whether you want to listen or watch. But above those, you will see just the Read the Bible in 1 year. And then there's a calendar there for you to download. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You don't have to enter your email address. There's no clickbait. It's just right there for you to download, even if you just need a calendar for your refrigerator this month. And you're like, oh, that's right. Robin has that on her site. Feel free to download that and use that as your own tool. So we are going to be reading in the book of Daniel today for chapter 4. Daniel chapter 4. And today we are going to be reading about an account by King Nebuchadnezzar. We're going to be seeing something important, and it will be our daily application. Daniel chapter 4, the king who lived with wild animals. Ooh. Now the king of Babylon wrote a letter. It said, "From King Nebuchadnezzar to people and nations from every language, I pray that you will have plenty of everything. It makes me happy to tell you about some wonders. These are wonders and signs that the Most High God did. He did them for me. His signs are great. His wonders are powerful. His kingdom lasts forever. He rules for all time. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was home in my palace. I felt good about having plenty of everything. I felt rich. One night, I was in bed. I had a dream that scared me very badly. I asked all the wise men in Babylon to come to me. I wanted them to tell me what my dream meant. Magic men came. Men who worshipped stars came. I told them my dream, but no one could tell me its meaning. At last, Daniel came. So I told him my dream, and I said, Daniel, the Holy God's Spirit is in you. No problem is too hard for you. So here is my dream, and tell me what it means. I was in bed, and I saw a tree in the middle of the land. It was very tall. It grew big and strong. The top went all the way to the sky. It could be seen from anywhere in the world. The tree's leaves were beautiful. It had lots of fruit. There was food on it for everyone. The animals were safe in its shade. Birds lived in the branches. All animals got their food there. Then I saw a holy man. He came down from heaven. He called loudly, "Cut down the tree. Cut off its branches. Take away its fruit. The animals and birds must run away. But leave the bottom part of the trunk. Leave its roots in the ground." Then the Holy One said, "Let dew from the sky make him wet. Let him live with animals. Let him live with plants. Let his mind be changed into an animal's mind, and let him live this way for 7 years." The Holy One said, "This is so people will know that God is the King. He rules over people's kingdoms. He gives them to anyone he wants. He gives them to anyone. He even puts lowly men in charge." This is the dream I had. Now, Daniel, please tell me what it means. My wise men can't tell me, but you can. The Holy God's Spirit is in you. Then Daniel wondered about the dream, and it was mixed up in his mind for a while. His thoughts scared him. So I said, "Don't let the dream scare you. Don't let its meaning scare you." "My king," said Daniel, "I wish the dream was about your enemies, but you are that tree. You have grown great and strong. Your greatness goes up to the sky. Your kingdom goes all over the earth. You saw a man come from heaven. You heard what he said. You heard what he said about cutting down the tree. Here is what that means. Here is what the Most High God said would happen. You will be sent away from your people. You will live with wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow. The sky's dew will make you wet. 7 years will pass. Then you will say that God is king over all kingdoms. He gives kingdoms to anyone he wants." But the bottom of the tree trunk was left. In your dream, the roots were left. And that means that you will be king again. You will say that God is the greatest king. So I have a good idea for you. Stop doing wrong things. Do what is right. Be kind to people who are having a hard time. and maybe then things will keep going well for you. A year later, I was walking on my palace roof, and I said, "This is the great Babylon that I have built. I built it by my strong power. It shows how great I am." I had hardly stopped talking when I heard a voice. It came from heaven. "Here is what will happen to you, king. You will not be king anymore. You will be sent away from people. You will live with wild animals. You will eat grass like a cow. 7 years will pass. Then you will say that God is the king. You will know that God gives kingdoms to anyone he wants." And right away it happened. I was sent away from my people. I ate grass like a cow. Dew from the sky made my body wet. My hair grew out like an eagle's feathers, and my nails grew out like bird claws. After 7 years, I, Nebuchadnezzar, looked up to heaven. My right mind came back to me. Then I praised the Most High God who lives forever. I treated him as the most important one. I spoke about his greatness. His kingdom lasts forever. People all over the world are like nothing. God does what he wants with heaven's powers. He does what he wants with earth's people, and nobody can stop God. Nobody can say, "What did you do?" Then I was back in my right mind, and I became great again. My helpers and leaders wanted to meet with me, and I went back to being the king again. In fact, I became even greater than I was before. Now, I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise the King of heaven. I say he is the greatest. Everything he does is right. All his ways are fair. He can make proud people feel like nothing. That is not quite the end of our reading. I just feel we need a little bit of transition time from that great witnessing account. We have a little bit of Jeremiah to read, and it will tell us about a king that gets out of jail. So later on, when Nebuchadnezzar was no longer the king, it says, "We had been in Babylon for 37 years, and Jehoiakim, Judah's king, was still alive. There was a new king in Babylon, and he let Jehoiakim out of jail. He was kind to Jehoiakim, and he treated him better than the other kings. Jehoiakim got to take his jail clothes off. He ate at the king's table the rest of his life, and the king even gave King Jehoiakim money to live on for the rest of his life." This was not the king who had had his eyes blinded and who died in jail. That king had died. So this is the one who was appointed before him and was taken off to jail. And God had said that he would live. But he had told Jehoiakim that he would not live because he had not obeyed. Wow, what do you think about that amazing account from King Nebuchadnezzar? He sent out that letter to everybody. It says, to people and nations from every language. He sent this letter out. King Nebuchadnezzar was being God's witness, just like we are called to be God's witnesses. King Nebuchadnezzar was moved to tell everybody what had happened to him. And that is our daily application. We know that God is in charge of everybody. We know that he can do anything. Nothing is impossible for him. And he shows us over and over again that there is nothing our great God cannot do. And so God calls us to be his witnesses, that when we experience and see things with his great and amazing power, that we are to tell other people about it. And King Nebuchadnezzar did just that. He was moved to tell everybody he could. And he sent out a letter to all the nations proclaiming God's greatness. That is a wonderful testimony. King Nebuchadnezzar shared his testimony. Now, it's important to note that he still also apparently was um, worshiping other gods as well, but recognized that God was the greatest God, the God most on high. And so, but he did not stop his idol worship. So, but it does show here that God uses anybody he chooses. So we want to be encouraged that no matter who is in power in our world today, no matter what year you are finding this event, whether it is in 2025 or at some point in the future, if you are concerned about who is coming into power or who is in power, I want you to be encouraged and remember that God puts everybody where he chooses, and they are just the means that are necessary to accomplish God's plans. God put Nebuchadnezzar in charge, and he used Nebuchadnezzar to do many things. God was always in charge of everything. He allowed King Nebuchadnezzar to be the king of Babylon for the time that he was king. He allowed him to be great. And God does the same thing with leaders in power today. But we should not be scared and worried that things are just so bad and that things are out of control. The world is never out of control. God is always, always in control. And we want to be sure that we are witnesses. Be encouraged to witness with the same enthusiasm and strength that King Nebuchadnezzar did. He experienced something absolutely extraordinary, and he was very moved to tell everybody he could about it. And now Daniel has also written it down in his accounting so that we who read the Bible all these thousands of years later also know of God's amazing acts. And that's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about the box that Julie has made. She has made that box that we shared an episode about, where we write down things that God has done, whether we have prayer requests that God has answered, experiences that God has brought us in our life. These are ways of witnessing and of remembering the things. Like we have the Bible, where it was written down as an account from Daniel. This box is a very convenient and easy way, and you can find that on my site under the heading of Treasury um, of Life Boxes, I think it's called. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name off the top of my head. And it may have a different name later, and that's okay. Just you'll be able to see it there if you search for boxes or if you look for whatever the boxes are. And they are such a useful tool for recording God's amazing acts so that we can give testimony and be a witness. And those memorials that we write down have the value of like what we see with Daniel today, because we don't know who in the future will be able to gain access like a diary. Like we today read Anne Frank's diary, and we read other people's diaries that have been published. And not that our boxes will be published, but that we don't know how God will use those in the future. Daniel could not have imagined the number, the millions and billions of people who would read his accounting of King Nebuchadnezzar's witnessing account of what God did. So God multiplies and he works everything to good. And it is very important that we mark down these things that God has done for us, not just to tell people, but it's very important that we write them down. And then after we are no longer here, then people will have these boxes and can be passed down to our generations so that other generations, because we know that we are every generation closer to the end times, where there will be a great deal of chaos going on. And our witness statements would be very encouraging and very helpful to the people in the future. And so I'm very passionate about sharing that even if you don't purchase one of those boxes, which are made that Julie has designed and includes cards, if you make your own box, I know she just wants to get that project out there so that people will be encouraged to be faithful and obedient to God, to also write down their accounts in the same way that Nebuchadnezzar has done. In the same way that we have this Bible, that we read these many accounts of all of these witness statements. God has called us to be a witness. So this is actually a very, very important commissioning job that God has given every single one of us. So don't think that the things that God has given you are not so important or not helpful or that they wouldn't benefit anybody in the future, because God will benefit with it. He will absolutely use it to good. If he places that in your heart to obey and you do so, I can tell you from our experience in reading that God's word never comes back void, and he absolutely will use it as a blessing for somebody in the future. And isn't that a great feeling to know that you are putting something together that will absolutely be a blessing to somebody in the future? What greater calling is that? Like what we read today with the accounting from Nebuchadnezzar. So I hope that you are encouraged and that you uh, either put together your own box of blessings and witness statements as a blessing for those in the future, and also to remind ourselves so that when we are feeling discouraged, we can look back on those times when we are looking for encouragement and reminders of all the amazing things God does and how he shows up in our lives every day. You will not be disappointed in doing so. So, thank you for joining me today. And I pray that you have a very fantastic, blessed day today on July 11th. And I will be here for everyone again tomorrow.